Today in Trump
Yeah.
is what we get to now.
Yeah.
And I feel like my headline from this, the Trump shooting over the weekend, is kind of like what we've done today is indicative. I mean, just the fact that
We're mirroring the national conversation, right? Like we didn't lead with it.
it feels like it happened, and then it's like, oh, yeah, that was a story the other day.
Yeah.
But, well, what about the River Seine and Caitlin Clark? Like, you've just kind of moved on real quick.
Mark
I feel
Cuban.
like growing up, that would have been the biggest story, and everybody would always be talking about it. And I swear to God, I'm not positive my wife knows to this second that it happened.
I told my mom about it. I was telling you this morning. I told my mom about it last night, and it happened on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm serious, though. My wife, unless she has watched the recording of the Today Show news,
From
because
Sunday.
she will just sit there. She's on Dexter right now. I think she started Dexter Friday. She's on like season 3 now.
First time?
She's never done Dexter yet.
Oh.
No. And she's like, why'd you tell me this was good? It's so great. She's watching Dexter morning, noon, and night.
I envy her.
But that's the way we watch TV, too, is we don't scroll. We don't fire up the news. Like, we just watch what we plan to watch.
Sure.
And, there's no real sporting events on. I didn't watch any All-Star stuff yet. Did you guys?
I watched Dude Perfect ground out.
Did you watch Dude Perfect play a little softball, celebrity softball, or whatever they're doing?
When?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, it was sent to us a lot. And
Yeah.
Kobe, Cody, Coley.
They're the future. In fact,
He
if
grounded
you want to
out.
make this a politics segment,
And here's the thing. He grounded out to Kane Brown, who was once hired to play the halftime show by Charlotte Jones.
Kane Brown's on the list.
Kemp Spin.
Yeah.
He once got lost on his own property.
He did. Started tweeting about it.
And that's weird.
I would think so. Yeah, you get lost on your own property and need help.
I worked with a guy that, that might
Well,
have
yeah,
happened to
that was
a
weird
time or
because
two.
that was like a quarter acre. But
I think Kane
it's-
Brown was on
Yeah.
probably 100, but yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. What was your experience? In fact, so Blake texted us
Yeah.
Saturday. And if I am to look at my Jake and Blake text thread.
Which is a rarity. I don't text you guys very often.
Well, I mean,
You don't have to
it's
scroll
often
very far.
very show related. Blake texted us, and it says, "Could you imagine if they killed him?" This was Saturday at 5:46.
That is honestly how I found out about this.
Well, I thought, is he talking about? We had been on a text thread earlier that week, and it was about like you were texting about some guy who had a snake at his house or something, and I was like, "Is he talk? Are we going back to the snake talk?" And then Jake said, "I can imagine it. They can't imagine it." And I thought, you know what? Now I don't think I should jump in. I was going to jump in and go, "What is this referring to? Is it the snake?" And then so a couple hours go by. And I wasn't really locked into Twitter. I guess that was probably around Saturday dinner time. So now we're having dinner and we're watching a previously, a show that has not been released in a decade or something. That's the way we watch our TV. So now I didn't know until that night, kind of when I'm going to fire up my phone. Let's take a look at Twitter, and I'm like, oh, Blake was texting that Trump was shot. And then, of course, following it all on Twitter is an interesting ride as well in today's day and age. Speculation, who was it, this and that.
I wanted to ask you guys that when we came in today. Does it feel like this should be a bigger deal than it is? And if it's not a bigger deal than it is, why? Is it because of who he is or because he was just grazed?
I think part of it is like just the media culture that we're in. Everything moves so fast and you just kind of like move on from things where like I don't know that I would be very interested to see what history books are going to look like in 2050. Because previously there was like one thing that happened per year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, well, in this year, this is what happened.
Yeah,
or
maybe will they still boil it down to because things just get lost over time?
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think
So,
if he
I don't know.
had like taken a bullet and lived and had to get surgery and big emergency situation, I think it would be a much bigger deal than getting grazed.
Yeah, but that's
in the ear.
that's the
seriously,
crazy part about that is
an inch away.
an inch
1 inch.
away
Yeah.
from that becoming like the biggest story in the last 100 years of American history.
But since I'm just trying to see if that's hyperbole.
A little bit, maybe.
Kennedy was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, right now though, like a guy who's running for president a second time after he's already been president, and everything feels like this.
Now we'd be arguing over little
tinderbox,
things,
tempestuous
it's up there.
situation.
It would be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm following it online, and now I'm like, oh, okay, somebody's saying, oh, no, it doesn't, it was glass.
Yeah, they shot the teleprompter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was glass that hit him and cut him, and then it's...
okay, so...
Will we ever know?
I will tell you this. As I showed my mom this, and I told you this morning, she immediately was like, this is fake.
Now, is she pro-Trump or anti?
I would say she's pro-conservative, anti-Trump.
Okay. And there's a lot of people like that will still vote for Trump, though.
I don't think she would vote for Trump, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think she is a religious person who shares a lot of the values of the Republican Party, who also hates him.
Yeah, okay.
But I showed it to her last night, and she's like, that's not real.
I mean,
It's like the second I showed it to her, I'm like, Mom, what are you saying?
That was the initial conjecture that was all over the social media sites pretty much immediately after it happened. And I maybe tell the family of the fireman that died that it wasn't real, that it was fake.
Or the two other people who got wounded?
Like seriously wounded.
Or, yeah, if this was put on by Trump, hey, shoot my ear. That's a pretty big risk to take.
Shoot my ear. Jesus.
Can you be the greatest marksman of all time, despite the fact that we've now heard reports that he was kicked out of his rifle club in high school because he was such a terrible marksman?
The 20-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think people's brains are just so cooked.
Yeah. And it's, obviously there are people that would be yelling that like a whole school shooting was all faked somehow. Mm-hmm. And there was actors and like, let me just say, it's the greatest live production ever if that was somehow faked because it looks like a Hollywood production. Like is that real? Like, did he really then just pump his fist and the flag is behind him? And it's like this is a campaign photo for sure. I mean, the first thing you must have thought is, well, there is the next president. There's just no way around that unless Biden somehow skydives without a parachute and I don't know what he...
Tackles Bodie.
Like, it's kind of like if Biden can walk up the stairs without, tripping, then we're going to be like, yes, there's his thing.
He didn't fall off a bike.
Yeah. He rode 10 whole feet.
I don't know what else to say about it other than, I mean, obviously I can't stand the guy. I can't stand his politics. But that was like the most baller thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was like badass. Have you seen some of the memes?
Fight.
As he just gets clipped.
Well, then you see like guys who used to be Secret Service guys or people like, no way. If it was real, you don't let him expose his body then after that. And there could be another shooter. How do you know there's not another, blah, blah, blah.
He's a big dude. I mean, that was the problem with like the female Secret Service, right? She only came up to like his nipple. How are you going to protect him if you're that short?
Beautiful nipple.
It was badass though.
Part of the conspiracy theories is also that they had secured like a number of rooftops around there,
right?
Except for that one.
Well, and did you see the video where people saw him crawling on there?
Yes.
You could
And
see him.
There's that guy, and
Yeah.
he's like pointing.
They're like, hey, there's a guy with a rifle right there.
Yeah. So
And it was clearly
I get
not
it.
a uniformed guy.
Right.
Like, how did that happen?
What I understand is the perimeter that he fell outside of the Secret Service perimeter, and anything beyond that was supposed to be local police.
Yeah.
And they are the ones. And of course, you're going to get a lot of pass the buck and not my fault. And after something like this,
I'm also I'm not taking shots at local police, but those people are not the Secret Service.
Yeah.
Like,
They're not used to this.
they're not trained in that way.
right.
They're going to have some gaps in their coverage, but at the same time, it was a pretty small area.
And I'll say the Secret Service isn't perfect.
No.
We forget that wasn't Gerald Ford shot twice? Isn't that?
Is that true? I don't know.
I think there was an attempt on Gerald Ford's life 2 times.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would think about that is
Reagan was shot.
It is a bygone era. Like despite the fact that there are more
assassination
school
attempts?
shootings and everything. Yeah. It's just because you think they've kind of eliminated the possibility that you could get a rifle into somewhere.
Yeah,
you know,
and I think
that
also
close.
those people, like their tactical presence is highly, highly increased from what it was 30, 40 years ago. I mean, on one hand, you have like tracking your phone, tracking the internet, all that sort of stuff. But I also just think, the Secret Service used to smoke cigarettes.
Okay.
Now they're like trained killers. So I don't think this is like, because I've seen a lot of like talk about that of like, is this going to become like a common thing? I don't think it will.
I don't think so either. But I do think the story is that it's not the big story that we think it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you didn't wake up thinking about it. Like, oh, I can't believe, It's just kind of like, and it's probably part of it is who he is because something different is happening with him every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like now it's
Flood
like,
the zone, right?
Okay, it's this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, it's this thing. Oh, he got shot. It's like,
He
even
got
though
shot.
it's a much bigger thing, there's always something, and it's just weird. Yes, like you said too. If he had a bullet embedded in him that they had to get out, but you haven't really heard much follow up on it either.
I mean, all of the other than the cool fist in the air picture, all the other still photographs, it's kind of, you equate it to like when Fabio got hit by a bird on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of
Like
reacting
an
the same way.
inordinate amount of blood. It's like, oh, okay. I think the Fabio thing had more
Maybe
lifespan.
More legs.
Yeah, like you were talking about that for weeks.
Do you have any interest in the story of the guy, the shooter? I mean, if there's can obviously peel back all the layers of who he was and how he got to be who he is, and even those things, as far as politicizing this, which is those gears started spinning immediately.
Yeah.
There's a confliction in that he was a registered Republican, but he also donated $15 to a Democratic progressive organization, I guess.
Yeah, like Activate Blue or something like that. Yeah.
So you don't really know where he falls, and what will end up happening, I think the truth will be that this was just a very troubled person seeking attention. This wasn't about any
as
real.
are all of these
he wasn't
shootings.
some real political operative.
Most of the shootings are
Most of them. Most all of them.
Yeah, but, had this been a Hispanic guy, an illegal or whatever, that would be blown to giant proportions.
And I think
or a proven hardcore left-leaning, left-wing type person that was on an operative mission to take out. This is the only way we can keep this guy out of office. They're thinking that was what his line of thinking was. But now it's like, well, there's a kind of dichotomy within his identity and what he actually stood for, and he was probably just crazy.
like the guy that went to baseball practice, Dan.
Yeah. What about the thought that it could be an inside job somehow within our government?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said,
who would even think that you know what? I think I'll go to a rally and I'll be able to find an open building that I can climb up on. Like, I don't know.
Especially
if it's an inside operative, you're going to hire a 20-year-old with zero military experience.
I would not
using
think so.
that doesn't seem like a great idea.
Using a rifle that's probably at that distance.
That is not an accurate rifle.
It's not designed for that type of accuracy.
That is a close-range rifle.
I'm shocked if that was in fact the bullet that clipped the Don's ear.
Pretty accurate, honestly.
Yeah,
and
that's a 308 job.
You see the diagrams. If Trump had not looked right the second before, it hits him in the head, and he's dead.
Yeah, I can't wait to see all of the scientific post event trajectory analysis and all of that. That's going to be interesting. Like, where was the sniper that got him? The Secret Service sniper. Where was he positioned? I'm curious to know all about that.
Yeah.
What's that?
There's an alternate angle. You can see the sniper behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, like, right before Trump gets shot, he's like, "We got to take this shot." I mean, it's a crazy timeline.
Like 3 seconds, which I heard everybody getting on this guy about it. But I mean, in reality, you have to be positive what you're doing before you fire that shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I understand that it's
you might need approval too.
You might need approval. You might need someone in your ear to tell you squeeze it. But it took about 3 seconds, and in those 3 seconds, the funniest thing that's ever happened in my life happened, and then a guy got his head popped.
God, Twitter's such a bad place after stuff like this.
Oh my gosh.
Bad?
I
think it's the best.
Well,
for comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but just the first tweet I read after the shooting was they've identified the shooter. He's Tim Hardaway Jr.
Just a little bit off in the finals. 0 for 10.
Just right there. What a different world we live in. A former president, there was an assassination attempt, and we were somehow able to
make it about the finals.
But also, it used to be taboo.
THJ jokes.
But Jake, you'd get in trouble for making a joke about 9/11 within 2 days after 9/11. And now you're 2 minutes after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say this, though.
We're getting the skits up. The skits!
Yeah.
Did you see the
Black Twitter?
The black people? Yeah, they did a recreation of it. It's incredible.
And it was out immediately.
Ketchup skit?
Yeah, within an hour, it seemed like. Well, of me discovering it. Within a couple hours. Sorry.
I will say, though, I do think that it's still the case that you can get in trouble if you pop off on the internet.
Oh, from wherever you can get in trouble from. Yeah.
Well,
not just as a human, though.
I don't just mean your job. I mean the government.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you should not make jokes about this. That's my PSA today.
All right. Well,
despite the fact that
I say do what you want.
I think you can be satirical about it, Jake. I think you can use satire, but you can't endorse it or say.
Yeah, I think there's,
I don't want to say it.
There are probably going to be some people that regret tweets or Facebook posts or Instagram posts that they've made over the last couple days.
Did you see Biden had a speech and he said we should solve our problems at the battle box?
With battle bots.
I think it was with battle bots.
I love it.
Which would be
so
great.
One of them has a saw on it.
Uh-huh. The other one has a big hammer that goes up and down.
Yep.
He can't talk. All right. Well, that was pre-news.
Well, I wanted to mention this.
Oh.
No, you're fine. It made me think about the time that TC, our friend, staunch liberal.
So TC, our friend, not TC Broadnax. I just want to make sure you're
not TC Broadnax,
separating.
the former city manager.
No, TC, the guy that jacks off and throws out his back.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's aforementioned.
I'm not saying that Broadnax hasn't done that, but I don't know about it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But he did vote
Probably has, but we don't know about it.
But he did vote for Donald Trump in the Republican primary.
To make him win. or to help make him win.
He thought that he was a more defeatable candidate, so he registered as a Republican.
Okay, so it is done.
Brilliant.
I'm just my point is just that, like, this does happen.
Okay.
And if TC ends up in the news, then this is probably going to be something that they mention.
And he is the kind of guy that would register and then donate merely $15
and
to
also
his cause.
miss.
Like, so both things that he did, right? 3 things that he did, all really were
TC-esque.
pretty meaningless. Or, perhaps if indeed that was his goal.
Yeah.
Was to the rise of the Democrats. He did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No puppet.